All right, this is Billy, the permaculture pimp daddy from Perma Pastures Farm, and I'm with one of my instructors today at the Organic Growers Conference here in Mars Hill, North Carolina, my man Pork Rhyne. What's your real name?
My name's Rhyne Curitan, but I go by Pork Rhyne. I guess we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Well, you know, this man is the pimp daddy. I met the Pimp Daddy of Poultry, which is not only Joel Salatin, but also Justin Rhodes in his own right. And today we got the Pimp Daddy of Pork.
Oh man, that's a high honor.
And today, this guy's done it all in terms of pork, and I learned a lot from him today. And we were talking about minerals and just a moment ago, and some of the ideas of maybe using whether it's charcoal or whatever else. Let's start with the mineral content. How do you think a person raising any kind of pork should go about the mineral issue? Of course, we know that not every farm is going to have all the necessary minerals in the forage, in the things the animals are eating. So what's the best way to deal with that mineral issue?
So it all depends on context. I'm really big on doing things and giving advice when I consult based on context. When I go over in Africa, Uganda and Tanzania, I'm focused on what are their contexts and what are their resources. In terms of like raising pigs, let's say here, we're looking at, I prefer to have more of a mineral premix within kind of what you're already feeding it, whether it would be if you're doing like a alternative feeding and you're formulating your own feed, I like being able to add that into it. Animals need minerals in their diets. We need minerals in our diets to metabolize and function the way that we do. And I see a lot of new and beginning farmers who are just now getting into it, super excited about raising pigs, have unhealthy animals because of feed choices and the lack of minerals in their diet. And so part of that is seeing, okay, if I got red clay soil, how can I utilize that as a way of minerals? And really it's like, how do you understand soil? So everyone has a different soil type. I'm from the Piedmont part of North Carolina. We have a lot of red clay. More red clay than you can shake a stick at, right? And so we're never really having to worry about, oh, my pigs are iron deficient because there's so much red clay. And if that compared to like when I go to Tanzania and I'm off of Dar es Salaam where it's near the coast, they don't have red clay. They have silver sand, right? So you can't really think about, okay, well, if I just feed my pig red clay, everything will work out. If I gave that as a universal blanket statement, people, in Tanzania would be like, well, we don't have red clay. What do we do? So understanding your soil types and your soil profiles, I think is number one. Also understanding what kind of forage do you have on the land, right? Every forage has different components and nutrients and benefits. So being able to work with people like Cooperative Extension in your county, they can help you identify different forages and allow for you to kind of see, oh, okay, so this helps with bringing more X into the soil. This helps with bringing more Y into the soil. And then you can start to see, like, what if I cover crop particular crops, whether it be sorghum sudan, whether it be clover, whether it be winter rye or cereal rye or oats, into my field to kind of adjust certain things. But yeah, minerals, super important. I think if you want to be on the safe side, always add minerals to your feed, especially if you are mixing your own feed. If you're buying a complete feed from like a miller, generally you don't have to worry about too much. And whatever they're getting from the soil and from the forage is going to be an add-on. But again, a lot of issues that I see are people who are making their own feed. Oh yeah, I buy whey and I'm feeding my pigs only whey, right? And grass, right? That's not a complete nutritious diet. So you're still missing those carbohydrates, right? So your pigs are still going to be like, I don't have a lot of energy to like move and function. And so being mindful of how do you formulate complete feeds is important.
Now, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to get this other answer out of you. Now, the people on this YouTube channel recognize that I get my feed for our pigs and chickens even from a particular place. You know what that place is, but in fact, in this room, you're one of only, let's see, 3 people in this whole world that know exactly where I get that from.
We're going to keep it on the low.
But we'll just keep it at this. Okay, so the ration of my pigs from the time they're 8 weeks old until the time I turn them into bacon, is largely rice, beans, some lettuce, corn in the form of tortilla chips, and a few other things. Everything. I'm feeding them everything but pig. Now, in addition to that, what else should, let's say there's somebody else out there who has the kind of hookup that I have, where I get all of the rations for my omnivores for free. What would you, as an expert in this, what would you recommend in addition to that?
In addition to that,
do I need any store-bought feed in addition to that? Let's say this is a constant, I never have to worry about where that feed's coming from. Do I need to do something in addition to that, besides those beans, the rice, a little bit of meat, a little bit of vegetables and everything that comes through all that? Is there anything I need to be doing in addition to that?
Minerals.
How did I know you were going to say
that? Yeah, no, right? No, seriously though, it's you got one of the best hookups I've ever heard of, right?
Now I should also say, these are going to be raised in paddocks in the pasture. So in addition to what I'm giving them, they're getting what they can forage out there as well. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I think the cool thing is understanding that no matter what you eat, there are minerals in that, right? I just like being on the safe side and making sure that you have high quality animals, right? It's like, okay, you got free feed, so you shouldn't have a problem buying some extra minerals, and whether a bag of minerals, and mixing it into their feed. But when you're having that like this load of like, okay, I got beans, I got rice, thinking about how do you even formulate all that in a way where they're getting appropriate, good rationing. So I think during our talk, or my session today, I talked about how feed is mostly going to be consumption based out of 80% of your feed is going to be an energy source, right? And we talked about energy sources. The common one in most feed is corn. All right. Now you can think of alternatives for that, like oats as a good energy source. Energy source being like carbohydrates. When you're thinking of proteins, you got the bean hookup, right? Cooked beans. So some people, I met people who feed pigs uncooked beans, and I'm like, they will not digest that well, but you already got cooked beans, so easy digestibility and palatability. So it's your protein source, right? But then seeing, okay, my protein source should be somewhere between 15 to 80%, or sorry, 18% of the overall feed that they're eating, right? And then making sure that 1 to 5% is going to be mineral based. You don't need a lot of minerals in order for the pig to metabolize and have proper functions. That's why I'm never on a hookup of like, oh, you don't have minerals, but you have all this land and rich soil. And if that's the case, then I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Or they could be missing just one important mineral that isn't on your land. Let's say it's selenium.
Yeah.
Let's say it's not in it, but you know it's going to be in that salt in that lick.
Exactly. Or let's say, like especially with pigs, phosphorus, super important. Phosphorus, super important for pigs. FYI. Making sure that that's also a part of their diet. I really like for farmers to lean on researchers. I will never say that I am a profound expert on pig farming. I just say that I'm a guy that knows a lot, and I know a lot of people that know a lot. And so I like to lean on people who spend like their whole life dedicated towards researching on how to feed pigs properly, how to formulate feed. So they're in my circle. And so I always recommend that farmers have someone who is a profound expert, whether they got a bachelor's, a PhD, a master's in something like this, or they've been doing this for decades and they just have that experiential wisdom to be able to guide you right. But yeah, you can send your, let's say your mock feed formulation of beans and rice and tortilla chips and lettuce and a little bit of chicken meat to state labs through NCDA, and they can give you an analysis of what that looks like.
Right.
And then you can kind of see, oh, okay, this is what I need to be worried about. Oh, okay, I'm good on this, I'm good on that. I am missing a little bit of this though. So I know I can supplement that either with getting an additional ingredient or minerals as a whole.
Okay, so from here, Don't want to take up too much more of your time, but how do they find my man Pork Rhyne?
All right, so guys, you can always find me on Instagram. It's at pork.rhyne, R-H-Y-N-E.
Which just happens to be his name, by the way.
Yeah, that's my actual name. Like, I'm not even kidding. I feel like I was born to be Pork Rhyne before I was ever Pork Rhyne. But yeah, feel free to follow me on that. I do answer DMs and answer questions. You can also send me an email at Rhyne, R-H-Y-N-E, Cureton, C-U-R-E-T-O-N @gmail.com, where I can take inquiries from there. But yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for the instructions. I truly appreciate it, bro.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. Y'all, he was a good student. He was a good attendee. He asked some really awesome questions. But nah, I appreciate you, brother.
All right, take care.